how are you? It's a lovely Tuesday here in New York City, isn't it, Liz? Gorgeous today. Liz Trotta is here. Eric Yaverbaum here, our esteemed panel. They're going to be rooting out regulations that are, quote, dumb, trying to make it a little less painful to do business. One of the things that they were bringing up, that he brought up in his op-ed, was artificial sweeteners and how the FDA, you know, has approved artificial sweeteners, but the EPA refers to these things as hazardous. So, I mean, not good move, bad move?
Yeah, I was just thinking that
shocking move?
I'm going back to the days, maybe it's the 1980s, the 70s, when Sweeta, what was the first one to be? I mean,
NutraSweet?
No, it was something else. But the whole thing, I mean, we're recycling now the argument. This has already been argued before, that any of these fake sweeteners are not good for you.
But I mean, look.
But that's the problem, is that, yet we continue to debate. We learn nothing from history. History didn't tell us we don't need to waste our money having a big old argument about this and throwing facts at each other.
No question about it. When's it going to end?
Well, but is it a surprising move, Liz, that he's actually talking about?
The EPA is always looking for issues. They have to exist. So in order to exist, they have to manufacture issues.
But I'm talking about the president talking about regulation and saying, you know, we're going to sort of pull back, but he's pulling back on him. He says there are some dumb regulations out there, and we're going to start to sort of streamline things and take all the crazy paperwork away.
The center, I don't think I could stand it.
Well, what do you think? I mean, wouldn't you be happy about this, I would think?
I don't know. It depends on how sincere, whether it really happens or not. You know, so many people in Washington say they're going to do things, and then they just have a way of disappearing.
Well, his op-ed is fairly detailed, Eric. You got to chance to read it this morning.
I think that right now, it'll be very, very interesting to see what the tone in Washington is.
Yeah.
Maybe for the first time in my life, everybody got a little bit humbled, and we are going back. Congress is coming back right after Arizona.
Right.
The country's still in mourning.
Right.
The way that we behave in bereavement is different than the way we behave at other times. So it could be an interesting time.
Well, maybe, but I'm not so sure. I mean, do you have to shoot people in order to get civil behavior out of anybody?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No, I know you're not saying that, but I'm just posing the question. I mean, it seems a sad commentary. I still go back to my theory not my theory, but I mean, the New York Times has borne me out this morning. Thank God, I feel vindicated. This is about a kid on drugs. This isn't about, you know, gun laws or any of the rest of it, or a civil discourse. This is about a pothead who is really taking some serious stuff.
Well, he clearly has mental problems, and, you know, whether
only
the government has failed
or may be created by it. I mean, if you read the studies, as I said, the British studies are really good. They really are very strong, but nobody listens in this country.
I've got to ask you, though, we have a lot of people.
Not only did we not listen, we all talked about that issue never existed. It was not a political issue. And how many days is it going to go on that we're going to talk about it? And how many people are agreeing that it's not a political issue?
Well, that doesn't mean that it's not eroding the country to death, which it is. I mean, they want to talk about methamphetamine users in the rural areas where they can manufacture it themselves. They don't want to talk about 11-year-old kids on pot. They don't want to talk about coke. I mean, it's as though the left-wing media, which is almost redundant, has decided that, well, that's an issue that we're going to have. That's another standard we can lower. You know, we don't have to worry about that anymore. I mean, you know, way back, I hate to be taking you back so far, but 25, 30 years ago, you would see pieces done all the time about drug use. All the time. And now it's as though it's the forgotten thing. It's accepted behavior.
Do you really feel that way?
Yes.
Eric, do you think that?
Well, to me, I think New York City, in the old days, which is only...
I'm going nationally now. I'm talking nationally.
Well, yeah, I'm just using New York City as an example of a city that cleaned itself up. I don't think that the drug problem is what it used to be.
You think it's better or worse?
I don't think it's worse. I think there's better drugs that are crack. I mean, crack was a bad epidemic. It was a bridge to a worse place, and it was cheap. But I don't think that the drug problems are worse, and I'm not...
The stats bear it out. And it's the medicine cabinet that has all the, like the salvia.
Yeah, but that's where the problem is, in the medicine cabinet with prescription medications, with pills.
No, but
I'm not talking about like things that are
no.
Now you're hearing OxyContin. These kids, all these kids, you know, you watch these, you know, the Datelines and so forth, and they're all talking about how all these little kids are talking about how, oh yeah, we share OxyContin. Oh yeah,
but you misunderstand me. Along with those drugs are also things like salvia, which the Times finally wrote today after Eric Trotta and I talked about it on Sunday. Nothing like patting yourself on the back, right?
Well, that was a subtle plug.
And because it was so amazing, we brought Eric Shawn here today, a little bit later on in the show.
It's incredible because they're just lumped in with everything else. You go to the Salvia website, and read the ravings of the lunatics who are on this drug, which is legal in most states. I mean, you can buy it from the website. It's unbelievable.
That was what Miley Cyrus was smoking from her bong, I believe.
I actually said, I want to repeat myself. This kid thought grass was blue. Doesn't that say it all? I mean, grass meaning not marijuana, but real grass.
Yeah, you're I'm colorblind for starters. You got my head spinning. Well, that's true. That's true.
This is going to be an interesting day as far as Congress goes. They're getting back to work after taking a break because of the Tucson tragedy. Healthcare obviously is at the top of the agenda. Does the GOP stand a chance when it comes to repealing so-called Obamacare? Liz. Ladies first.
They can certainly not get the whole thing repealed because the president has the veto and they don't have a majority in the Senate. The Republicans have a majority in the Senate. But what they can do is hold up the funding, individual things that they vote on, in which they can defund key parts of the plan. That's where the danger would be for the Democrats.
So what are we going to see leave and what are we going to see stay? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think the problem, this is, if ever there was an issue, because this one is, we're going to see it out of the gate, what's the tone? I think everybody wants to I don't know, dial it back a little bit. I don't think everybody wants to have the kind of arguments that we've been having in Washington, and I think that this is like a quintessential moment for us to see what that tone's going to be.
I'm
don't forget,
sure about
the Civil
that.
Rights Act, it took, what, 3 or 4, I'm not sure, times, that got rewritten. That's fine that we're going to make changes to, at least in my opinion, to the health care plan as it is now. I think we definitely will, but the notion, and I think the people throwing around, we're going to repeal it in its entirety, is absurd. I don't think it's possibly going to happen.
Right.
But changing it, sure, I think that's good for the country.
What elements do you want to stay? What do you think are unnecessary?
My premium just went up substantially. I mean, I'm sure every American is finding that. And that gets your attention. I mean,
a lot of doctors are dropping insurance.
Oh, yes. Oh, and talking about
my dermatologist, she did that.
That's right, and mine too.
It's probably the same one. Is it Dr. Eric, what do you think? What do you want to stay?
Well, you know, I mean, my premiums, I'm an employer, and 2, my premiums are going way up, and less is being covered, and for a long time, doctors have had a hard time making a living. Something is broke with that formula.
So you mentioned before that you're sort of creeping a little bit more right.
Don't say creeping right. I'm just saying I'm becoming more open-minded. I think that
stretching.
You know what?
That's a good way of putting it. Okay.
I've done it at this network over the course of 2 years because I told the people who handle me the day after the election, if Obama loses, I'm not showing up there the next. I can't go for a while. But you know, obviously, I mean, the country's in trouble. Things aren't going well. We've made a lot of bad decisions. I think that the numbers show us that now.
Well, 75% of those surveyed by Rasmussen recently said that they want some sort of change with the health care plan as it currently stands.
But isn't there a new poll out? I saw it in the elevator. I didn't get what poll it was. He's back to a 54% approval rating. I don't know whose poll that is, but I mean that's amazing, isn't it?
Do you think that comes out of this whole Arizona tragedy and the beautiful speech
for what it was worth, didn't he?
Oh, Liz Trotta, what do you think, Eric?
That was
Did he mind it?
A low blow. He minded.
No, I don't think it's a low blow.
It's just your style. You got me.
It's a candid description of what went on.
No, but and always goes on. It's politics. It's what they always do.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree. Yeah,
they're exactly like sports. I mean, look.
Even when they shoot 13 people, right?
Well, no. I mean, obviously, there's extraordinary situations that we all take a deep breath on, and maybe we can get it in the same room, and a bunch of smart people come up with smarter answers. Because I don't think the answer is on the left, and I don't think the answer is on the right. Mm-hmm. I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Eric, you said something a little bit earlier about how you think that that the country wants a more a kinder, gentler tone. I'm telling you, I've read emails, and maybe it's our viewers. I don't know, but. A lot of folks are saying, don't we want to see fire and vitriol from our lawmakers and passion?
No, well, I think what we want to see is strong resolve and civility. We want everyone to be civil in DC.
Oh, yeah. Well, this country, of course, does not have a history of that.
No, we don't. And I think.
Why is everybody getting so excited? It was worse in the old days. My God. I mean,
people were here, Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr shooting each other in the streets.
We nothing. I mean, This whole, you know, let's again, you know, grab hands and sing "Kumbaya" just has me nauseous. I mean,
so we're going to do that at the end of the show. You're not going to do that with us?
No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that's why you didn't kiss me hello.
No, I didn't kiss you hello, but you know, men crying all over the place, including the Speaker of the House. I mean, it is ridiculous.
You know, does that bother you?
Very much so.
It does?
I think
Why?
men should man up and start acting like men.
What do you think, Matt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Matt. Well, what do you think?
What do I think? I want to beat her in this argument. So what do you think I think? I won't be crying during this hour.
Come on, you agree.
No, of course I do. Of course I do. I mean, everybody. I mean, people who spend their lives in front of a camera and set a tone for an entire country do have a responsibility to be leaders, and to be great leaders, you have to demonstrate leadership and break.
But having a little weepy moment doesn't necessarily demonstrate that you're not a leader.
You know what? Did you watch? It was they had I don't know. It was on another network. They had a whole special on Kennedy, and you watched the Kennedys at a funeral, and you couldn't that funeral, the way that they conducted themselves in front of an entire country, the way Jackie Onassis conducted herself at the President of the United States funeral. It was with incredible dignity and great courage, and it set a tone for a country to go on to the next day to Lyndon Johnson.
That's why her descendants are so busy killing documentaries about them at the History Channel.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, that's the other side of the Kennedys that, you know, I think most
people
but
if you think about it, to your point, you're right. That is, look, Richard Nixon, when the U.S. press corps
we're not going to beat him up again.
No, we're not going to beat him. I'm just saying they didn't do that to Kennedy. Kennedy was allowed to do whatever he wanted. The press corps left him alone. He was the president of the United States. He was off limits, out of bounds.
That's why we have him here today, Liz. Please. Were you?
That's a great compliment from you. I never thought I'd hear that from. Thank you.
This is like Kumbaya over here. You don't even have to hold hands.
I know. I'm acting like a liberal.
Were you guys surprised? I know, Liz. Seriously, what's going on? Apocalypse. Were you surprised when John Boehner started using the words destroyed instead of killing from the job killing?
No. This is part.
You're not a Boehner fan, are you? I'm getting a sense over here.
Oh no, I don't dislike the man. Looks like a wholesome American male.
He's very tan.
Enough with the crying already. And it's also manipulative, I think, and it just shouldn't be. I mean, back to your point on Obama. You know, another thing that he didn't do at that ceremony is he didn't tame that audience, which behaved disgracefully.
In what way? Example.
It wasn't a rally. I mean, there should have been silence and real mourning, or if you don't feel real mourning, keep your mouth shut. But to turn it in, to tolerate applause and all that, he was in charge, and he should have better handled that.
Eric?
Yeah, well, no, I think that, again, the two things that I've done the most of my life is spend time in the C-suite with leaders, and, you know, I've owned a PR agency for 3 decades. What you do, how you behave, especially when it's in front of the camera, people watch how we act. And I agree with that completely.
But don't you think, I'm playing devil's advocate here, we're talking about a kinder, gentler nation. That seems to be what folks are saying that we want, including our lawmakers. You have the speaker, you know, getting a little misty-eyed, little tears rolling down. I mean, maybe we're just changing
time.
Yeah, really.
I mean, it's like shtick now, if I may use that.
Well, that's
so you don't think it's sincere. Yiddish words that say it when nothing else does.
No, there's two. I'll give you another one. Shtick is a good word, but you know what's going to happen?
What?
Exactly. If it hasn't happened already, and I know Saturday Night Live just did a skit this past weekend about Fox. Saturday Night Live will be doing skits about that. He'll be crying at every. It'll be a whole comedy routine about us crying. Because you're right. It feels like it's part of the act. It's like insert cry now.
That's right.
Let us know what you guys think about this on our chat. I'll get to the chat comments in just a second. But let's talk about Sarah Palin, shall we? Lightning rods. Speaking of lightning rods, she's been talking recently. What are your impressions of her, first of all?
Well, you know, coming up in the elevator, and for those who don't know, we have television monitors in every elevator, just in case you forget where you are.
Fox Business or Fox News.
Yeah, and I know that she was on, and I was again struck, as I am repeatedly, by how she mangles the English language. I mean, she doesn't know anything but the passive tense to begin with, so she talks herself right into a corner. So the meaning eludes me because I can't get past the mangling of the language.
But why can I don't get why anybody gets by that. We were talking about this before. Here, in this building, where there's many famous people, where all of us who sit in green rooms see the most famous, influential people in the world in this building. Nobody cares. This is what we all do for a living, or we're all around it all the time. When she came in the building, though, it was I was like Mick Jagger walked in. I don't get it.
But she also brings out, this positive passion, but she also obviously brings out negative passion as well. I mean, people are, I've never seen somebody, a female politician, maligned and attacked as much as Sarah Palin.
Well, but she deserves
it.
She deserves it.
That's right. She deserves it.
All right, well, the two of you agreeing on this one means that we need to take a quick break.